Everything is out the window. All our predictions, I got no idea what's going on. It is a wild election year. It has only just begun. We're about to complete the first month of 2024, giving us 11 more. The election is very, very close. I mean, less than a year away. Now, who's going to be the Democrat nominee? Joe Biden? Perhaps. Maybe not. Could it be Michelle Obama? Some speculation now that Michelle Obama may already be working her way to a 2024 White House bid. Last night, Roger Stone speculated on Timcast IRL, and he has speculated well before this. I'm just making sure that's clear. But he mentioned on our show, he sees a possibility Michelle Obama enters the race, and I agree. And we're talking about how this could be, so let's speculate a little bit on how Democrats could pull this off. But my friends, there is another potential Democrat nominee that people have not mentioned in the Democrat primary because she's running as a Republican, Nikki Haley. Now, there's been a lot of speculation, but things are changing so rapidly, it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen. Before Vivek Ramaswamy's town hall, I was thinking Gavin Newsom could be the guy. Joe Biden suffers some medical issue. Kamala Harris says, I will be acting president for the time being, but I will not run for an election because I have a duty to this country, and it would be impossible to run a campaign like this. Thus, Gavin, that's how you get Kamala Harris out of the way. Vivek Ramaswamy said he believed that Nikki Haley is the establishment candidate. Now, that's a smart play. Why bother with a Democrat primary or general election at all? Defeat Donald Trump with Nikki Hillary in the GOP primary, and oh boy, then it doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden versus the Republican because the Republican will be your shill. Right now in New Hampshire, the primary is underway, and Nikki Haley secured the first in the nation primary vote. That's right. Dixville, what is it? Dixville Notch? I think that's what it's called. Is that the name? Dixville Notch. And the funny thing is, Dixville did us all a good solid in proving the point that Democrats are voting for Nikki Haley. Dixville Notch in 2020. They only got a handful of people there, but they all voted for Joe Biden. In the, how do they break this down? In the primary, they voted for, we had a Michael Bloomberg write-in, really. So you had a Democrat primary and a Republican primary. In the Democratic primary, Dixville Notch, Michael Bloomberg, 2 write-ins for Democrat, 1 for Bernie, 1 for Buttigieg, and then an independent, and then a Republican primary write-in for some reason for Michael Bloomberg. When it came to the general, all of the people of Dixville Notch voted for Joe Biden. This time around, you have 6 people voting for Nikki Haley. And that's what everyone's been saying. It is Democrats voting for Haley in the Republican primary. Now, I don't see Nikki Haley winning. I really don't, but we could be surprised. And the reason is, right now in the polls, they're all asking Republicans who you're going to vote for. And Republicans are saying Donald Trump. So it looks very favorable for Donald Trump. The only problem? Democrats crossing over, not being polled, and voting for Nikki Haley. You have to ask yourself why it is third place Iowa stays in the race. Ron DeSantis figures it out and bows out. Nikki Haley, of course, remains in. So do not be shocked, my friends, if Nikki Haley ends up scoring some points down the line. Don't know that she wins in New Hampshire. Maybe, probably not. Maybe she goes South Carolina. Maybe she wins. Maybe she doesn't. But let's talk about the news of this morning. Well, last night, technically. Michelle Obama may already be working on a 2024 White House bid. From Cindy Adams, New York Post. Obama's wife is scratching to maybe be our next president. Her husband's helping. Pay attention. In this sicko political environment, semi-VIPs itch to get you to write what they want. Then for their own political purpose, they tell you they doubt what you wrote. These professional doubters have political motives. However, some info now comes from, I'm told, credible sources few have access to and usually not meant for the noses of the media. Whatever that means, what's told is Hillary and husband toxic. Nikki, the old guard will pee on her. Okay, excellent writing, I'm sure. And sore loser laws prohibit candidates from running in another party after they lose in their own party. Reportedly, and I'm being told, Obama has polled donors. His plan? Around May, Biden announces he's not running, even mentally. The so-called plot is that come the August convention, Michelle gets nominated. Next step, Hunter's father drops out just before that convention. For now, he still play acts like he's a real candidate, announcing today our dodo-in-chief would have to stop quacking and become a lame duck. Their plan is currently being tweaked. Understand, it's that squalid squad that is responsible for much of the scripts in Congress, blah, 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 blah. Get to the point, lady. D.C. is now so screwed up that it bodes badly for the country. Fears and thoughts of the dysfunction are not unwarranted. Voters have massive blame on both sides. A jumbled Congress, blah, blah, blah. Moderates can't override anything. The U.S. needs a centrist, strong, tough leader of the independent voter mass that comprises the majority. Mrs. Obama's team has already sent a survey to heavy-duty donors asking how they'd feel about her as a candidate. The process has begun. Thank you. That is the big news, that the Obamas are actually making this play. Wow. A VIP doctor in charge of a major hospital called me to say, you must do something. The system is broken. There exists also the new group, No Labels. The assumption is they name some appealing candidates after March 15th, whom they are now quietly vetting. Mid-February, we should hear murmurs. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. Michelle Obama. That could be the play. Seriously. We have this clip from Mediaite. Fox and Friends host Will Cain shuts down talk that Michelle Obama will replace Biden on Dem ticket. It could be Michelle Obama. In this clip from Fox and Friends, Will Cain says Nikki Haley. Maybe, maybe not. I think the reality may be that they're all making their play for the seat of power. But if Obama really is running things behind the scenes, Michelle Obama makes a lot of sense. I'd like to present to you some speculative, predictive politics. All right. So we've got Super Tuesday coming up, March 5th. But of course, that's not going to matter because Nikki Haley's not going to be able to muster the votes. Maybe. I could be totally wrong about this. And Democrats really do pull through for her and she wins massively in New Hampshire. Okay, we'll see. Democrats have the whole other weird thing going on. But let's say come around this time, Joe Biden, we know he can't win. I mean, some polls say he can, but he can't win. Come on, nobody likes Joe Biden. They need to get rid of him. Now, I've entertained the possibility of a medical issue where Gavin Newsom steps in. I think that's still way more plausible than Michelle Obama. And I'll tell you why. Well, last night we were talking about the issue. What do you do with Kamala Harris if you try to replace Joe Biden? She's next in line. It would be shockingly offensive if they just removed her and acted like she wasn't there. Kamala Harris can't suffer a medical issue, right? Unless, I don't know, something more serious and insane happens, but I don't see that being realistic. Joe Biden suffers a medical issue and says, I will carry out my duties for the final term, but I think it's time to pass the torch. We stopped Donald Trump from winning re-election. That's all that mattered. Then what? Kamala Harris should run, right? She would be next in line. Yeah, she can't win. So then there's theories about Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom. The only problem with the Michelle Obama theory is that Kamala Harris and Michelle are both women of color, as the left likes to say. In which case, it would still be shockingly offensive to just ignore Kamala Harris. Now, I made the offer last night with Roger Stone. I said, what if Joe Biden suffers a serious medical issue and then collapses? Gavin Newsom runs out, throws his coat off, rolls up his sleeves, chest compressions on the president, saving his life. Kamala Harris then says, as I mentioned earlier, I can't run for an election. I'm just here to serve my nation. I will serve as acting president, and then I will bow out. If it's Michelle Obama and not Gavin Newsom, the issue then, as Roger was pointing out, no, you wouldn't want to do that. And I said, well, look, this makes Kamala Harris the first female president. She would take that in 2 seconds. How do you get rid of Kamala Harris? You don't need to offer her a Supreme Court seat. The speculation from Roger and from others is that behind the scenes, they'll say, we're going to give you a Supreme Court seat the moment it comes up. You should leave now. Sure, that gets past the paperwork of Kamala Harris, but not the public perception. The public's going to be like, whoa, what's going on? I don't think anyone really, this argument's very strange to me. Kamala Harris, deep state, right? If the deep state came to her and said, you're not going to be president, she'd go, okay. That's it. I don't see her being like, I resist. No. But behind the scenes, they'll make her a good offer. But publicly, what can they say? If Kamala Harris is the first female president and female president, president female of color or whatever, Michelle Obama does not get that. So if it is going to be Michelle Obama on the Democrat ticket, Kamala Harris cannot be acting president first. How do they pull this off? I think there may just be a much simpler solution, ladies and gentlemen. The Democratic Party is in complete disarray. There's no plan. They're screwed. Joe Biden is the best they have. They can't replace him, and Donald Trump is going to win. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't see where else this goes. Now, people want to speculate Nikki Haley is going to win. I don't know about that, man. I wonder if I have this tweet. Take a look at this one from Tenet Media. Follow Tenet on X and on YouTube. Nikki Haley town hall descends into laugh factory. Have you guys seen this clip? It's going viral. Can I play? I'm going to play this for you. Here you go. Let's play it.
But you know what? We've got a lot on the line here. We really do. And you look at what's happening in this election. Yes. Are you going to vote for me? Get out of here.
Okay.
But you know
it was easier for those that are watching. What happens is at a Nikki Haley rally, a guy says, Nikki, and she goes, yes. And he goes, will you marry me? And they all laugh. She goes, you're going to vote for me? And he says, I'm voting for Trump. I got to be honest. What guy wants to marry Nikki Haley? I'm pretty sure she's already married with kids anyway, but wouldn't vote for her. That's funny. The Republican Party, ladies and gentlemen. I'll marry her, but it's like you can do one of those things like vote, marry, kill. Nikki Haley, I would marry her, but I wouldn't vote for her. No, I certainly would not. But that's a funny point. I don't know what their plan is. I honestly, I have no idea how they pull this off. We have run so many theories, and maybe we just need to stop and say, guys, maybe there is no plan. Maybe the reason it's changing rapidly is because they are failing. Now, my friends, I must tell you, do not rest on your laurels and don't get too excited. I'm seeing these tweets from people and they're like, hey, man, the enthusiasm is too high. Maybe not the optimism. You all need to be cautiously optimistic. Look, as much as I want to believe that the Democrats are just in free fall, I think the reality is they got a plan. I just can't quite figure out what the play is because nothing they're doing is making sense. Perhaps it's Nikki Haley? I think the reason why no one is sure if it's Newsom, Obama, Michelle, or Haley is that none of the plans are making any sense or amounting to anything. It may actually be that Democrats have multiple plans, but none of them are working. Gavin Newsom debated Ron DeSantis for some reason, and now Ron DeSantis has dropped out. What was the point of that? I don't know. Maybe it's just the system in free fall. But let's entertain a little bit about this, okay? So Michelle Obama is a strong maybe. The argument from Roger Stone is that Biden says, medical issue, I can't run. They offer Kamala Harris some position, and then Michelle Obama decides to run. But you cannot publicly come out. This is why this theory doesn't make sense. The Democrats can't publicly come out and say, Joe Biden's unable to run, so we've asked Kamala Harris to step down so Michelle can run. Because the public is going to be like, huh? Why? Maybe, however, Kamala is so despised, nobody would care. They'd just be like, bye-bye, lady. That's a possibility. I think there has to be some kind of public move as to how Kamala Harris can bow out gracefully. Short of that, I don't see it happening. Unless they really do publicly say, we want Kamala to serve on the Supreme Court, the next available vacancy. And so we don't want her to run for office. We want her to wait because that's where she truly belongs, in the Supreme Court, where we can win. Kamala might even say something like, our Supreme Court makeup is far right. And my concern is, if I end up running for office and winning, who is going to be available for the nomination should a vacancy open up? That is why I think Michelle Obama, that's a possibility, but such a crazy story. In the meantime, we have this. First results in New Hampshire Republican primary. Nikki Haley wins 6 votes in the tiny Dixville notch, as the rest of the state will vote later. And as I already showed you, these are people who voted Democrat voting in a Republican primary. Fascinating. All right. The Washington Post reports New Hampshire's independents could drive Republican primary outcome. What a corrupt and broken system. Here's how it's supposed to work, my friends. You're a member of a political party. Y'all get to decide through a primary and caucus process, the nomination process, who is going to be your nominee. Instead, what we have is leftists trying to sabotage Trump, voting for Nikki Haley. And you know what the thing is? These Democrats who are voting Haley in the primary will not vote Haley in the general. It is a burn it all down in corruption strategy. It's dark days, man, isn't it? You're going to get a bunch of Democrats. They're going to come out, destroy Trump's chances. And you know why they're voting for Nikki Haley? It's not because they think she's good. It's because they think she can't win. And that's the reality. Nikki Haley is getting donors that are Democrats, voters that are Democrats. They're voting for her in New Hampshire. This could benefit her greatly. And then if she wins the nomination somehow, all of those same people go and vote Democrat. And you get 4 more years of Joe Biden. So, my friends, I call upon all the young people. Talked about this yesterday. These micro apartments and all these problems young people are facing. They can't get jobs. They can't find jobs. Their degrees are worthless. If you vote Democrat, you vote to make your problems worse. And I'll be very clear with all of you. You deserve it. And I will experience great schadenfreude if the youth vote turns out for Democrats and then whinges at the state of the economy and laments the fall of civilization because you voted for it. Now, don't get me wrong, schadenfreude will be there, but I'm not going to be excited about what that ultimately means in the end for the rest of us. I don't want my country burning to the ground. I want y'all young people to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not a perfect man. He's a deeply flawed man in many ways, but he's a good guy. He is. Has he made mistakes? Sure. I just find it so laughable when these libertarians are like, I won't vote for Donald Trump because of COVID lockdowns. And I'm like, dude, everybody on the right in the beginning were saying wear masks. And then Fauci came out and said wear masks. And then all everyone on the right was like, nah, don't wear masks. And I'm like, what's going on with this? It's just, I don't know, dude, look. Nobody knew exactly what was going on when this first started. Everybody's trying to claim 2020 hindsight. Oh, I knew exactly. And I was saying it. And some, sure. You know, you threw a dart at a dartboard, you hit the right spot, it happens. I certainly got a lot wrong. I just was like, here's the news. Donald Trump made mistakes. Ron DeSantis made mistakes. Sure. There's a big difference between that and what, say, like Newsom, Governor Wolf, Whitmer, Cuomo did when they murdered people. Yeah. Putting COVID patients into nursing homes and then killing the elderly. You can't compare Trump to any of that. You can say Trump made big mistakes and he was bumbling around. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, people bumble. People make mistakes, pencils have erasers. He made some big ones, but mostly did great. No new wars. Timeline for withdrawing Afghanistan. Getting our troops out of Syria, despite the fact that he was lied to and they kept the troops in. Working to secure our border, despite the crisis at the southern border. And he did a great job. So what more could you ask for? A net positive president for the first time in my life, and it is surprising. The problem I see here with all of this, courts. Arizona. Carrie Lake, you can say she won, whatever, I don't know, but we can certainly say there was no election. Arizona did not have an election. And of course, Democrats will laugh and snortle and chortle. Yes, they did. Dude, shut up. Several hundred voting machines break on election day, and you're like, this is totally fine. No, you do the election over. I mean, it's just an absurdity. You want to claim to defend democracy and have free and fair elections? If hundreds of machines are broken, you do it over. Instead, they're like, nah, it's fine. The courts. Judges saying, I would rather side with evil than put my family at risk. And this is where we are. Same thing with CBP. You know, on the border. None of these individual agents actually want to do the right thing. They want to do the easy thing. I hope they go to prison. I want to see them behind bars. You know, if someone came to me and said, Tim, What would you buy for $1 billion? I'd say, unfortunately, there's nothing that money could buy me that I want. You know, maybe some Magic the Gathering cards, maybe a new painting. I don't know. I don't really care about any of that stuff. If there was a genie and he said, I will grant you a wish, I'd say, I'd like to see the CBP agents who are committing crimes arrested for those crimes. I just want accountability. That's what that's the I wish for on the spot. Have someone just arrest these guys. Donald Trump did a great job. He tried to build a wall. He put up secure bollard fencing. He was attacked every step of the way. The corrupt DOJ has gone after him under Merrick Garland. I believe it is an overt, seditious conspiracy against this country, what the Biden administration is engaged in, facilitating human smuggling at the border, trying to arrest and remove the chief political opponent, the front runner for the entirety of the presidential race. Trump's winning, not just in the primary. He's winning the polls for the general. I want to see these people who are facilitating this put in jail. They're committing crimes. In the meantime, the one thing that matters is Trump gets the votes. I don't know what their plan's going to be, but I think they have to have one, right? Otherwise, it's smooth sailing from here. But you better remain cautious and do everything you can to get your friends registered to vote and get them to vote and to vote for Donald Trump. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.